Hey YouTube, it's me, Josh, and I was very lucky to get into the only screening of The Cabin in the Woods in South Australia. Now, I heard about this movie through YouTubers like Eric Striffer and people like that, and so I really wanted to see it because it sounded interesting. And then it turns out that there was only one screening of it in South Australia ever, so I was so lucky to get into this screening. Now, just as a heads up, there are no spoilers in this review until the end, and I'll warn you before they are coming, so you do not have to worry about spoilers, guys. Okay, so what's Cabin in the Woods about? Well, you do have to go in knowing as little as possible, but all I'm gonna say is it's about a group of teenagers who go camping in the woods in a Pacific cabin where weird things goes on. I'm not gonna say anything more than that because you really do need to go in knowing as little as possible. So what did I think of The Cabin in the Woods? Well, it was great, guys. It's a great laugh. Like, I was laughing my head off the entire time. I do, however, think that it's not really fair to call this movie a horror movie because it's not really a horror movie. Guys, this movie is a comedy. Yeah, there were some elements that were horror-ish, but it's just too funny to be scary. So do not go to this movie expecting to be scared because it's a pure comedy, not really a horror. Now, this is what Scary Movie should have been. For those who are unfamiliar with Scary Movie, it's a movie that spoofs horror movies. The first one spoofed Scream, and they made 4 of them, and they all spoofed different movies, and they're really lame. This is a movie that Scary Movie should have been. Because it's a very different movie because unlike Scary Movie, this movie does not spoof one particular movie. It basically spoofs every horror movie without making any reference to any other movies. Alright, guys? So, it's a pure comedy. And I must admit, I saw this movie with my dad, who he likes horror movies, but not like I do, because I'm like a massive horror fanatic. And my dad just did not get the joke, so I would only recommend this movie if you are a die-hard horror movie fan, because otherwise you just won't get the jokes. Like, it's there are a lot of very inside jokes that only horror lovers would understand, and so if you have not seen many horror movies, I would probably watch a few horror movies and then come back and watch this because you just understand it a lot more than the others. And so yeah, that's my opinion on The Cabin in the Woods. I only had one problem with the movie, and that was I'm not gonna go into too much detail just yet, but I just thought that they could have done a better job with the ending. I just want to point that out. And one thing that I did like about it was the characters. The characters were very interesting. How each character was like the typical character from another horror movie, and I thought that that was interesting. So the characters were done very well. Okay, now I'm going to talk about some spoilers. So if you have not seen Cabin in the Woods, please do not watch the rest of this review, because if you do, you're a fool. Okay, so like I said, my only problem with this movie was the ending. I would say now. The reason why I didn't really like the ending, you know how the hand was like, was because it. I think the movie should have ended with like one last um joke rather than something like that. Like it wasn't anticlimactic at all because there's a whole funny thing in that temple place, but I just thought that they could have come up with a better ending because the whole movie was absolutely genius in their comedy, and the ending, I just thought they could have come up with a funnier ending, but that's all. But as for the humour going into more depths, I thought it was hilarious, to be honest. I loved it how the only two survivors was the horror movie geek. Like, if you know a lot about horror movies in a horror movie, then you basically have an advantage. And the virgin, just like Scream, rule number one: do do not have sex. And the virgin survived. So I thought that that was interesting, and it's and I found it interesting how it started off as like a normal horror movie, and then towards the ending it just got crazy and ridiculous. So yeah, definitely check out The Cabin in the Woods if you're a horror fan. You'll only like it if you're a horror fan, and if you haven't seen it, of course. Okay. Thanks for watching, guys. Yeah!